Welcome back, everybody. In our last video, we created our public class vehicle here. We also created a constructor. We did our toString method. And then in the main method, we created a vehicle object called new vehicle. And then we also tested our toString method. So this is just one method that is very important when creating these classes or creating these objects. And that's just the toString method, which will bring back all the values that we have within our object, our vehicle object. So you see here, it'll print out number of wheels, and then it'll print out the VIN number. And you can actually see that here, where I ran the program, told me the number of wheels and the vehicle number. So that's just the toString method. Now, a couple other methods that you have to create are our getters and setters, or accessors and mutators. So what these methods do is they allow us to access the data from an object, and they also allow us to change the data or set it to something else. So a common practice between programmers is that when they declare their attributes or variables, they set these to private. So that's what we're going to do now. So now we have private integer number of wheels and private string VIN number. So we're going to keep these private. It's called data hiding, where not everyone can just come to this program and see what this data holds. We're protecting user data or any data that you're using. So the common practice is to have private attributes and then public methods to access those. And that's what we're going to get into today. So for here, we are going to create our setters. Now our setters, we're not returning a value, so our methods are going to be void. And for our getters, we're actually getting back value. So our method is going to be whatever is going to be returned. And in this case, it's going to be an integer number of wheels and a string VIN number. But we're going to start with setters. So setters are really simple. You start off with public, because like I said, we have private attributes and we have public methods to access them or change them. In this case, we're going to change them. So we're doing our setters, so the type will be void. And we're going to name the method setWheels. So in the setters, we actually do need something within our parameters. And since we're setting wheels, we'll need to make sure that it is an integer right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this right here, and then I'm going to put it within our parameters in the setter. Now I'm going to create my block statement. Now you don't have to create a block statement. I just like creating block statements because it makes everything look good. It's very organized in that way. So for this, it's just one line, very simple. You're going to do a this dot number wheels is equal to number wheels. Very simple method. That's all you have to put in there. It looks very similar to this up here, but for this case, we're just looking at the integer number wheels. We're not looking at both, and we're not creating an object. So we're going to do the same thing for set VIN number. We're going to do public void set VIN, and then within there, we're going to need a string value. See here, VIN number is a string. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this, Control C, and then Control V. Like I said, these are very simple methods. In the future, you will have to create methods that do like calculations, stuff like that. But we'll get that. We'll get into that when we're in our later videos, when we're doing inheritance. Because we'll have vehicles like trucks, something like that, where a truck has truck bed space. And you have to figure out what's the volume of the truck bed space. You'd have to create a method that will take certain values and then be able to output the actual volume of the truck bed. But for now, we're just doing getters and setters. So this one is very much like this set wheels, but it's set VIN, so it'd be this dot VIN number is equal to VIN number. Like I said, very simple, and they are very useful when you're programming. I use these methods more than any other methods in my data structures class, so it's something that you really have to get down before moving on. So now we got our setters. We got public void set wheels, and in the parameters we got int number wheels, and then we got public void set VIN, and then in the parameters we have string VIN number. So here we're going to create our getters. So what our getters do is they just get the values that are within the object. And I'll show you how to do that in the main method after this. But for the getters, we actually return a value. So we're going to do a public, and then we have to set it equal to whatever is going to be returned. So for the get wheels method, it's going to be an int. So it'll be public int get wheels, and nothing's going to be within our parameters. So it's going to be very simple. And all we have to do here is do a return this dot number wheels. Very simple, very simple. So we're going to do the same thing for our VIN number. So we're going to do public. And this time we're not going to do int because VIN number is a string variable, as you can see up here. So it'll be public string get VIN. And from there we'll just do a return this dot VIN number. And that's very much it. Very simple methods, all one line, and they all do a lot of different things. So what we're going to do is, in our last video, we actually created an object, and we actually printed out the toString method. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to test my getters and setters. So here I'm going to test my setter, test setters, and all you have to do to test the setters is you got to call the vehicle object, which is called new vehicle, and then you'll get set. Let's do set we won't really change the wheels much, but we'll do set VIN. And then within these parameters, we're going to include a string. As you can see here, we have a string type within the parameters. Within these parameters, we're just going to change the VIN number of the car. Very simple. So we set the VIN to something else. Now what we're going to do is we're going to call the toString again to see if this value changed from this to this. Okay. So to do that, we're just going to display, can't spell, toString method. And to do that, we'll do new vehicle dot toString, and we're going to include that in a system.printout statement. .out.print. Let's do print line so it does another space for us so it looks better. Oops. So really we're just going to see if this VIN number was set to something else. And we'll see how useful that can be in the future. So what I'm going to do is save, compile, and run it. And as you can see here, well, it actually did not print there, but it's fine. As you can see here, in our last program, the object's VIN number is set as this. And you can also see it's set as this again, right here. But the VIN number changed to whatever I wanted to change it to here. So let's see if we can clean it up, make it look better. We do a -n, and we put those in quotations like that. So let's save and see if that solved our problem. Compile. Oh, no, caused issues. So we'll actually, let's include it in our toString. So that should work. Say save. Compile. And just like that, you can see that our VIN number was set to something else. So whatever that object is, you can change the values within it. We can also change the number of wheels, but since it's a vehicle, it'll probably have 4 wheels. So we're not going to change that. Now, let's see how we can test the get methods. So we'll test getters. Now, the getters are very important because you can get values within an object without having to pull out that toString where you have to get every single value. This one just looks at one value. So in this one, what we'll do is we're actually just going to do a system.out.println. In here, what we're going to do is we're going to call the getWheels method on our new vehicle, which is this object that we created earlier. We'll do getWheels. Be sure you include the quotations. And we don't have parameters within the getWheels or the toString, so we don't have to worry about putting anything like that. And we'll also do a system.out.println where we get the VIN number. .get VIN. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to save and compile, see if it is working correctly. So compile, run it. And as you can see here, this is our get methods, where it got these values from our computer. You see that it wasn't our toString where it included the number of wheels and the vehicle VIN number. This one we can just look at one attribute of our object. So here we were just looking at the number of wheels, and then here we were just looking at the VIN number. So that's very much our getters and setters. Very simple methods. Like I said, in the future the methods will get a little trickier because you will have to create methods that have multiple lines within a block statement. But for getters and setters, they're all just going to be one-line methods. Very simple. Some other getters and setters might be different. So for instance, like I brought up the truck class. And that's something we're going to get into in our next video with inheritance. But our truck class, what makes a truck is having a big truck bed, right? And you will have to get the area of that truck bed or the volume to be able to tell the customer, hey, this is how much space you have back there. And within those methods, you will have to include some calculations. It won't be as simple as just a return statement or just a statement that is setting something as something else. But we'll get into that in our next video. I just wanted to show you how to get these setters and getters, how to create them, and how to use them properly. But other than that, that wraps up this video for today. Everyone have a great day and happy coding.